The Western Conference playoffs has been crazy. I'm gonna be honest, I wrote this script before Game 6 of the Minnesota-Denver series, fully expecting we were going to see Denver versus Dallas in the Western Conference Finals. And then he arrived. He vanquished the Joker. Basketball is for black people again. Real talk though, the playoffs have been exceptionally entertaining. One of the most competitive ones since 2019 maybe. Game winners, trash talk, dirty plays, valiant efforts, and the new crop of the NBA finally taking the league over. So before we get started, let's give a good old pat on the back to all the teams that lost in the conference semifinals. Yes, clap it up. You'll get them next year, Thunder. Just please, all of you eat a few cheeseburgers this summer. New York, can you tell Tom Thibodeau that it's normal practice to give your guys 2, 3, even 4 minutes of rest in a game? Cavs and Nuggets. That was kind of ugly, I'm not gonna lie. And just like that, we forget they existed, so let's get into the winners of the conference semifinals series. Before we get into that, please like and subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. Comment your conference finals winners and MVPs down in the comment section below. Share the video with a friend, and welcome to the Sweatshop. We're gonna get started with the Timberwolves Mavericks series because quite frankly, that's the only one anyone cares about. Sorry Pacers fans, I love your team. I think next year is the year for you guys, but my bad. Don't worry about that right now. Right now, we are discussing the Mavs versus the Timberwolves. How are the Western Conference Finals going to shape up? Well, let's see. Let's start with a quick retrospective on how each team's season worked out, starting with the Mavs. If you look at the Mavs season as a whole, you may be a bit underwhelmed. 50-32, 10th best offensive rating, 18th best defensive rating. Like, okay, what's there to be happy about? But no, dear viewer. If you did that, you'd be deceiving yourself because the Mavs season didn't start at the beginning of the year like everyone else. It started at the trade deadline. You see, the Mavs were plagued with injuries pretty much all season long. Through 50 games, they only had Luka holding together the ship like he was Peter Parker. But once the trade deadline rolled around, the Mavs finally got healthy. And on top of that, they made 2 trades for players whose impact I heavily underrated at the time: Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. With the addition of these 2 guys, as well as the roster finally being healthy, the Mavs became one of the best defensive teams in the league. And that defense somehow became even better in the playoffs due to Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving locking in and becoming actual good defenders. Did I fall into some alternate universe? Wait, give me 1 second. Nah, I'm still poor. If Luka and Kyrie continue to lock in the way they've been locking in, the Mavs will have a practically impregnable defense. And then offensively, the Luka and Kyrie pick and roll, combined with the vertical threat of Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, Derrick Jones Jr., man, this is just a good-ass roster. The issue is, though, the team they are playing against is also a good-ass team. Like, really good. Everyone knows that I'm not chiseling the commandments into the tablets with this one. I will wholeheartedly admit I am jumping onto a bandwagon, but I must admit, the Timberwolves look terrifying in ways I did not see in the regular season. And that all stems from their unstoppable defense. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. The gap between Minnesota's regular season defense and the second best defense was the same as the gap between the 2nd and 10th best defenses. Minnesota was just leagues ahead of the rest of the league in terms of defense. When I did my playoff preview, I thought that aspect of their team would take a bit of a step back just because they weren't playing against any pushover Detroit Pistons type of teams. No, this was big boy competition.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you.
We don't care.
They really didn't. Instead of folding in the playoffs, they somehow made their defense even more potent, holding 2 of the most talented offenses in the league to a collective 108.9 offensive rating. They are just insane defensively, one of the best we've seen in recent history. And then offensively, what I was worried was going to happen has not been the case. I was worried that Ant was going to have to carry a bunch of bums on offense. And while he has been exceptional this playoff run, don't get me wrong, top 5 player in the league at worst. His supporting players, Cat, McDaniels, Conley, Gobert, Naz Reid, they've all stepped up to the plate and helped him win. This isn't the Ant show that I thought it was going to be. This team is a team. And it's because of this that I think the Timberwolves are going to represent the West in the NBA Finals. I'm sorry. I just don't think Dallas is as good a team as the Timberwolves are. That's not the right way to say it. Dallas is a very good team, certainly championship caliber, but I think they are a bad matchup for Minnesota. The Mavs just don't have the requisite shooting they need to neutralize a Twin Towers lineup. Cat is gonna sag off PJ Washington to clog the lane and force him to shoot, and I don't think PJ Washington is going to be able to keep up the insane clip he was shooting at in the last series. And even if he does, which is in the realm of possibilities, don't get me wrong, I am done with PJ Washington slander, but even if PJ is hitting his threes, he ain't gonna be able to get those easy post-ups like he was against the tiny ass Thunder. And on the offensive end, the Mavs just don't have the size to hang with the Timberwolves. The T-Wolves can spam Naz Reid and Cat in the post, and if they're at the 4, you got PJ or Derek on them. PJ ain't a bad defender to guard either, but he isn't who you'd want as your number 1 option on both of them. And similarly with the size argument, they're probably gonna have to have Derek Jones Jr. guard Ant, and DJ is a similar size to KCP, and Ant treated KCP like he was some free eats, direct baby food. DJ is, again, not a bad defender for Ant, but he isn't the best. And then on the other side of the ball, I think McDaniels and Ant are both good matchups for either Kyrie or Luka. They can honestly switch between the two of them and it wouldn't be a huge issue. And then Rudy Gobert is just going to be guarding a lob threat, so he'll be at his best defensively. I don't know. Dallas has a few things that they can go to. I think a Josh Green start in place of Derek Jones Jr. would be an interesting option. He's not stronger than Derek Jones Jr., but he's a better shooter and should be at least 95% as good a defender on Ant as Derek Jones would be. They could try going with PJ at the 5 and going with an ultra small ball lineup, but the Timberwolves can counteract that with Naz at the 4 and Cat at the 5 while also keeping their significant size advantage. In the regular season, I would have said a good zone defense could maybe give the T-Wolves some trouble, but Minnesota's supporting cast has proven in this playoff run that they would be able to take advantage of something like that. There's still maybe a zone that works to some degree. I'd be interested in Kid doing something that can really expose Gobert offensively, but I don't know if that'll exist. I'm sorry, Dallas fans. I don't know. You guys beat my Thunder. I want you to win. I want you to at least show that the Thunder may be the second best team in the West. But the only way I can foresee the Mavericks winning this series is if Luka and Kyrie average 60 to 70 points per game between the two of them. And while they are certainly capable of that, we haven't seen them do this consistently in the playoffs, and they are now going from 2 very good defenses to maybe the best defense in the last half decade. And I want to emphasize, I don't think Minnesota is some juggernaut now just because they are the new hot thing that everyone loves. If they do end up going to the NBA Finals, I think Boston matches up really well with them, but against the Mavs, I just don't see a way they can consistently lose outside of Luka and Kyrie being on their A++ games. The Mavs just don't have the personnel to consistently exploit the T-Wolves' weaknesses, and because of that, I'm going mini in 6. And the games are gonna break down like this. Minnesota's gonna comfortably win the first game. Dallas has had some trouble starting out series in this playoff run. The Mavs are gonna come back though and win the second game in a really low scoring, grimy, grinded out type of game. The Timberwolves are gonna come back and win the third game behind an Ant 40 piece. Dallas is then gonna win the next one behind some Luka and or Kyrie wizardry. And then the Timberwolves are gonna have the Mavs fully figured out by game 5 and win the next 2 games in close fashion. Timberwolves in 6. Celtics versus Pacers. Celtics winning. I'm not even going to get too far into this one. I love the Pacers. As I said in the playoff preview, I think they will be a top 2 seed in the East next year, but they do not got the horses to beat the Celtics 4 times. I will say with the Pacers' nature of play, I would not be surprised if they get one of the first 2 games just off a hot shooting night, and then the series tied 1-1, maybe go up 2-1 back in the field house, but there is no way they're getting more than 2. Celtics in 5. Lose the first, win the next 4. With that, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching the video all the way through. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. Comment down below who you got winning both series and who you think is going to be the conference finals MVPs in the East and the West. Share the video with a friend, and as always, stay sweaty, ladies and gentlemen.